Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Schwartz Reichel. My career began in music education where I learned the importance of a key change, a shift, in the tonal center of a piece of music, often used to inject energy or produce significance. Eventually, I realized the impact of making key changes in all areas of my life and the desire to help others do the same. Making key changes can be difficult. I certainly don't have all the answers, but I do like to pose questions for reflection and offer actionable key changes for us to attempt in both our working and living situations. Together, we can unlock our greatest potential in collaboration with those we love, serve, and lead. Let's discover how we can grow together by making key changes. My daughter started playing the saxophone a few weeks ago. That's my instrument, the one I've been playing for 38 years, since I was 9 years old. She's not using my horn because it's a professional model, so I rented one just for her. As I shared in last week's episode, number 88, titled, "A Lot Can Change in a Decade," my daughter, who just turned 10 years old, is fiercely independent and very much her own person. So when she chose the saxophone, I was shocked. She rarely wants to do what I do, her mother. I had gently encouraged her to try a brass instrument. Trumpet was my top pick, and she'd also considered flute, clarinet, and violin. But in the end, she landed on the saxophone. The night of our very first lesson together, before she'd had any formal instruction at school, she picked up the instrument and played 3 notes with a beautiful tone and a surprisingly solid embouchure. She even sounded a low D, a note many beginners struggle with. After a quick reminder to keep her cheeks in and not puff them out, she nailed it. Moments later, she played Hot Cross Buns by ear, starting on B in the key of G major. I smiled because I know it won't be long before she's transposing that little tune into all 12 major keys. She's now had a handful of lessons at school, plus a few more with me at home. She's excelling, already learning her first scale and working on sustaining her tone a little longer each day. I'm gently nudging her beyond what she's learning at school, just like my dad once did for me. Yes, my dad was my first saxophone teacher and band director. I can still picture those lessons in our 4th bedroom, rightfully nicknamed the music room. I also vividly remember when our shared love of music turned into our first lesson argument. By 6th grade, I was convinced I knew more than him, a man who had been teaching music for over 2 decades at that point. Now, the roles have reversed. I'm the parent, the teacher, the one with decades of experience. And yet, to my daughter, I apparently don't know a thing about the saxophone. And honestly, that makes me smile, because this moment is about more than just music. It's about legacy. It's a full circle moment. As a vocalist and pianist, my daughter already has a strong musical foundation at the young age of 10. I'm certain she'll become an excellent saxophonist too. But like anything worth learning, it will require consistency and grit. And that's where the challenge often sets in. When things get even slightly hard, my daughter tends to retreat. My husband and I have noticed this pattern with both our children. Our son shows this at times in sports, especially when he feels others are outshining him. We recognize our children's potential, clear as day, but when effort meets discomfort, there's a temptation to lean back instead of lean in. We tell our kids often, you can be tired, you can rest, but you can't act lazy. And that lesson applies far beyond music or sports. Laziness isn't about not moving. It's about choosing comfort over growth. And growth lives on the other side of discomfort. So how do we help our kids and ourselves push past that lazy slump? Here are 4 key changes that might make all the difference. Key change number 1, name the resistance. Laziness often isn't about a lack of ability. It's about a moment of resistance. Recognize it. Say it out loud. This part is hard. Naming it removes some of its power and helps us face it rather than avoid it. Key change number 2, Start small, then build. The hardest part is often starting. If practicing, studying, writing, or running feels overwhelming, commit to just 5 focused minutes. Those 5 minutes usually turn into 10, then 20, and more. Progress compounds. Key change number 3, embrace the messy middle. Learning isn't always fun. There's a messy middle where progress is slow and mistakes are frequent. That's where most people give up. But staying in it when it's not easy is where growth really happens. And key change number 4, separate rest from laziness. Rest is healthy. Laziness is avoidance. Teach the difference early. Take breaks when needed, but always return to the work. This builds resilience, discipline, and confidence. Every time my daughter picks up that saxophone, she's doing more than making music. She's learning what it means to practice through discomfort, to stay with something long enough to grow. But this lesson isn't just for kids. We all face moments where it feels easier to choose comfort over growth. Whether it's starting a new skill, pursuing a goal, getting healthier, leading a team, or simply showing up for ourselves, resistance doesn't disappear when we grow up. It just changes shape. The truth is, discipline and resilience are skills we have to keep choosing, no matter our age. We need to build the strength to keep going, not just for the task at hand, but for the kind of person we're becoming. Not giving up doesn't mean ignoring how hard it is. It doesn't mean pretending to be strong when you're exhausted. It means allowing yourself to rest without quitting. It means taking a break, asking for help, or trying again another time with a slightly different approach. We've all been there, that moment when things feel too hard, too heavy, or too far out of reach. Maybe it's a goal that seems to keep moving further away. Maybe it's a dream you've carried for years that hasn't really taken flight. Or maybe it's the fatigue of doing the right thing over and over again without immediate results. I've experienced those moments too. There have been times in my career when rejection felt like a period instead of a comma. I questioned whether my efforts were making any real difference in my business of writing and speaking. I wondered if it would be easier to just stop or quit, to let the dream of being a keynote speaker go. But I didn't. I'm here today because I chose to rest, to pause, reflect, and adjust, but not give up. Don't give up. Not because it's easy, but because what's ahead might be even more meaningful than you can imagine. Discover the courage and confidence to transition from lazy moments to lasting growth. If this episode or any of the past ones resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out through my website, makingkeychanges.com, and share the show with someone who might benefit from it. If you haven't subscribed yet to the weekly newsletter, you'll find a link in the show notes. The newsletter publishes every Wednesday and aligns with the podcast, offering extra insights to help you grow. Finally, if you'd like to experience this content live, let's schedule a time for me to speak at your school, company, or organization. Book me to speak. I'd love to help strengthen your people. How are we making key changes to transition from lazy moments to lasting growth? Thanks for listening. If you haven't done so yet, please consider rating and reviewing the Making Key Changes podcast on the Apple Podcast app. If you found this episode helpful, please consider sharing it with others and joining me again next week. In my coming episodes, I'll discuss topics that are most passionate to me, along with things I've been researching or areas of my life I have changed or want to change. You can learn more about me on my website, makingkeychanges.com. Feel free to message me through there or reach out on social media. I'd love to hear from you and learn about what key changes you hope to make.